Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Fakihah binti Yusuf. We have chosen three banks which are Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, Maybank Islamic Berhad, and Rayan Bank United Kingdom. In this presentation, we will provide the introduction and the research objective before moving on to the research methodology. Next, the presentation will focus on findings in 5 areas. Lastly, we will provide some recommendation and conclude the presentation.
Nowadays, IFIs face challenges to remain competitive while operating in a purely Sharia-compliant manner. Our research has 3 objectives. Firstly, we will evaluate IFI operations across 5 areas, which are corporate governance, Sharia governance, ethical issues, Sharia audit, and CSR. Secondly, we aim to uncover any operational issues faced by selected banks, Bank Islam Rayan, Maybank Islamic in these areas. And lastly, we aim to develop recommendations to counter these issues.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Aina Nashuha. For research methodology, in order to come up with the finding in this report, the approaches made in conducting this research are by analyzing the related articles, website, and the annual report for the year 2019 and 2020 for the 3 banks.
Based on our findings on corporate governance, we believe that Maybank Islamic has complied with the BNM corporate governance policy through implementation of internal control framework. One of the examples of compliance is the disclosure of the board charter that outlines all of the board of directors' duties, responsibilities, and authorities. However, the board of Maybank Islamic has assigned some of its governance functions to Maybank's board committee. For example, in terms of audit, risk management, and compliance. From our perspective, this can question the independence of the board. On the other hand, Bank Islam is not compelled to apply the BNM corporate governance policy since it is a public listed company in Malaysia. Hence, Bank Islam must strictly adopt the Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance (MCCG). Overall, Bank Islam has met all the criteria of MCCG 2017. Bank Islam has created an internal audit function within the management team to monitor the bank's internal control, and also, it initiated a whistleblowing policy as part of its corporate governance. For Rayan Bank, its corporate governance is regulated by the Prudential Regulation Authority and Financial Conduct Authority (FCA). In addition to that, the bank must adhere to the UK Corporate Governance Code since it is a public listed company. The bank has established risk management framework as the main focus of its board of directors, while the management team is in charge of a 3 lines of defense risk management model.
Sharia governance becoming more different and advanced in connection with the development of Islamic finance around the world. The Sharia governance framework for IFE was created by the bank with the primary goal of improving the participation of the board, the Sharia committee, and management in Sharia concern. Firstly, Maybank Islamic and Bank Islam have a Sharia governance framework which outlines the bank requirements for Sharia governance frameworks, procedure, and arrangement. This is to ensure that its processes and business practice are Sharia compliant and provide detailed advice to the board, Sharia committee, and also management in carrying out their Sharia related duties. In the annual report Corporate 2020, Maybank Group has created and implemented a strong Sharia governance framework in accordance with the BNM's most recent requirements. Maybank Islamic implement a Sharia compliant governance mechanism through 3 lines of defense that address the issue discussed, which is the Sharia committee should be part of the board of committee and board of risk management control. Also, Bank Islam has disclosed the Sharia governance in the annual report 2020 Pillar 3 disclosure. This includes the Sharia risk management, Sharia non-compliant. On the other hand, there is no information disclosed in the annual report of Rayan regarding the Sharia governance. However, they maintain the Sharia Supervisory Committee to ensure that Rayan Bank's goods and services are Sharia compliant and continue to be so. According to the Rayan website, this bank has established a Sharia Supervisory Committee (SSC) composed of experts in Islamic finance and Sharia law. Thus, it is the obligations of the bank's management to put the Sharia Supervisory Committee decision into action.
Next, ethical issues. Bank Islam offer personal financing such as property, vehicles, and education, and business financing such as trade working capitals, equipment, and vehicle financing. Maybank Islamic offer 5 financing packages inclusive of property, vehicles, personal, unit trust, and education financing. All of their financing products for both banks are based on Tawarruk and Murabaha contract except for the vehicle financing where it is offered based on Ijarah arrangement. On the other hand, Rayan Bank offer various type of home financing based on Musyarakah and Ijarah arrangement. Murabah and Tawarruk are associated with predetermined returns that like non-participatory and discourage risk sharing. Thus, they are criticized particularly because they fail to maximize socio-economic development and hence unable to serve the objective of Sharia. It is ethically concerning since the bank are focusing only on complying with the Sharia requirements instead of upholding and focusing on the impact of their products toward the social welfare of the Ummah. Thus, the impact of Islamic banks to the social well-being of Ummah is no different as compared to the conventional banks. In addition, the monthly installment for this arrangement are higher than the conventional bank and the huge profits are distributed mainly to the shareholders and managers, it is conflicting to the maslahah principles. Lastly, Tawarruk Munazam practiced by Bank Islam and the Maybank Islamic, where the bank are appointed as the agent to resell the asset back in the contract, is seen to be unethical. This practice is criticized since it's merely like a trick to make the contract permissible. Instead, the customer should appoint other entities as the agents to ensure that the contract is independent and fair selling processes can take place.
For Sharia audit, it is important to ensure that Sharia auditors are well trained in both Sharia knowledge on top of possessing financial literacy. Only Bank Islam has shown the initiative to produce competent Sharia auditors as evident by the training programs and certificates they have conducted, such as the Certified Professional Sharia Advisory (CPSA), Certified Sharia Advisor Program (CSA), and the Certified Sharia Practitioner Certificate (CSP). Meanwhile, Rayan and Maybank Islamic have no mention of equivalent certifications for their Sharia auditors. There is also the threat to Sharia auditors' independence. Both Rayan and Maybank Islamic have established the 3 lines of defense as part of their risk management procedure, whereby the internal Sharia audit function becomes the 3rd line of defense. It provides an independent annual Sharia audit. For Bank Islam, Sharia audit is an added measure to the Sharia review function to further verify the degree of Sharia compliance in its products and services. Thus, we find out that the 3 banks have sufficient controls to mitigate this threat. However, the Sharia audit is only performed by the internal Sharia function, and they still lack the counter-check from external Sharia auditors.
Based on our research and findings, we have found that all 3 banks have successfully disclosed their CSR activities with different approaches in conducting their CSR activities in order to achieve maslahah. Firstly, Maybank Islamic implements the concept of economic, social, and governance that uses 3 pillars which are community and citizenship, our people, and access to products and services. For example, the bank offers humanizing financial services which aims to prioritize the people in everything that they do. On the contrary, Bank Islam established a platform called Amal that emphasizes on 3 aspects which are people by providing essential aids such as sugar, planet by conducting Amal untuk Alam program, and prosperity by helping asnaf to make a living of their own. On the contrary, Rayan Bank has shown their support toward the people by contributing to the Investors in People Silver Organisation and being a national living wage employer. They have also implemented a few environmental initiatives and provided financial support through their website, especially for the customers that face financial struggles, especially due to the pandemic COVID-19. In conclusion, this shows that all 3 levels of maslahat, categorized as daruriyat, hajiyat, and tahsiniyat, have been successfully implemented by all 3 banks. In conclusion, this paper investigates numerous issues concerning Islamic financial institutions, namely Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, Maybank Islamic, and Rayan Bank United Kingdom in relation to the 5 aspects. For the recommendations, firstly, we will recommend the banks to continuously implement all 5 aspects in accordance with Sharia to ensure that the uniqueness of Islamic financial institutions can be maintained.
Secondly, the banks should compare and learn from the different approaches made by each bank with different authorities. By doing so, each bank will be able to improve on the things that the bank might be lacking on and take the other banks as an example on how they could improve on any of the 5 aspects. Really, the banks should maintain integrity by having only ethical practices in all of the products and services offered.
Lastly, we would like to recommend for the banks to improve their supervision for a Sharia audit. The banks are still lacking in terms of counter checks from external Sharia auditors. Therefore, these banks can adopt a co-source method. This strategy allows both internal and external auditors to work together for the purpose of conducting Sharia audit, so it can reduce the threat of independence of the bank's internal auditors. That's all from us. Thank you.